Hey guys, I'm going to show you how to set up your files for this week, how the project works. Basically, if you follow along, this is a step-by-step on how to do this project. The other thing I am going to talk to you a little bit about is how I set up my own workflow, how I set up my projects. Um, it's not uncommon as a designer to have some files that you may have to constantly make changes to, or that you know you're going to have to do a bunch of rounds of edits. I am almost, I would say like 80% of the work that I do in my real day job that is not teaching you, I have to send it off to several people to go through edits and make changes. So what I like to do is I like to name all of my files. I have, you can see here, I have the words working file in all of my files that I use for work. Then I know that's the one that I would go in and edit. That's the one where I make changes to. And then when we get to the end of this project, I'm going to show you how I save to send something off for proof. Because nobody that works with me can open up an Illustrator file. I have to send PDFs to everybody. And there's a really easy way to do that. Okay, but our project for this week, we're going to be creating stencil art using the two Pantone colors of the year. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our file, and you're going to go up to File, New. Obviously you would have opened Illustrator, just so you know. Illustrator's just almost always open on my computer, so it was just open. And then in the width, you're going to put 11 inches. And in the height, you're going to put 17 inches, and you're going to want 2 artboards. So once you've made those changes, and CMYK 300 PPI, go ahead and hit create. Okay, now I have my 2 artboards. Awesome. Before you do anything else, let's go ahead and save this. So hit save as, and wherever it is that you want to save it on your computer. I am going to save, you want to make sure you keep, so Pantone, Stencil, and then I use underscores all the time, and then put your name in, Amy Graham. Again, if this was something for work for me, I don't have to put my name in my files for work, but I would name it working file, so that, again, I always know this is my go-to, because I am not joking when I say, like, I have worked on projects where I've gone through 100 rounds of edits. And if you saved a new file for every single thing, first of all, that just builds up. And secondly, it gets confusing. Like, which one did you make edits on? Which one are the changes in? So if you just have one go-to file, that's where you're making all your changes. So go ahead and hit save. Hit OK. And now we have our file created. We have it saved. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we want to go get our colors. So you go to whatever browser it is that you're using, open up a window, and Google Pantone color of the year. You can see it's already filling, but Pantone color of the year 2021. And then make sure that you actually are going to the Pantone site, color of the year. And once we are here at their main page, which this link is in the assignment, I think it's in the one where you are to kind of share your thoughts about how you feel about these color choices. Here they have tools for designers. So click on that. And here you have, so here's the official color of the year. And you may or may not have access to this swatch in your program. And in fact, I would be shocked if you had access to this swatch in your program. So your best bet is to use what is the best match. And it looks like the best match is Cool Gray 7C. The C stands for coated, because there's a coated and an uncoated version. You use that depending on like maybe what paper you would be getting something printed on. So go ahead and write down somewhere Cool Gray 7C. Then over here, looks like the best match is 106C. So write that down somewhere so that you can make a note of it. Then we're going to go back into our Illustrator program, choose the rectangle tool. Really any shape will do. So just draw a shape. Go down, this is still selected, come down to where your stroke is. You have your little white box and then the black stroke. Click the stroke, click none. And then I always like to go back up and just make sure that I'm on the fill. So come up to your selection tool, click anywhere on the box, holding down the Option key and the Shift key, pull it down, let go with your mouse, let go with Option Shift. Also, alternatively, you could just draw another box. However you need to get two boxes onto, actually not even onto my artboard, just like on into your program. Now, choosing one of the boxes, doesn't matter which one, we are going to then open up our Pantone colors. So you're going to go up to Window, all the way down to your swatch libraries, over to Color Books, and then choose Pantone Solid Coated. And that will open up your coated Pantone colors. Now in this little search tool, this is where it's super easy. Just start typing in gray 7. And remember now that it did say cool, okay? So you have two choices. If I hover over this one, it says warm gray. If I hover over this one, cool gray. And if you remember the lessons from last week where we sort of talked about warm and cool colors, you can really see how they're different. Like the undertones of this one is more red. The undertones of this one is like there are more blues. It's a much cooler gray. So with the box selected, I'm just going to click in the gray and you can see it's changed to this gray color. And that is your gray. Now, click the second box, come over into your Pantone search, delete what you have in there, and type in 106. There you go. There's your yellow. Click the yellow. Boom, it has showed up here on the side. Click anywhere outside to deselect those and go ahead and close out, get rid of your Pantone swatches because you're not going to need any more of them. We're done with those now. So now we need images to turn into stencil art. So we're going to go back into our browser and think about what you would want to turn into art. One thing to keep in mind is that you're going to want basically no background color. And I'm going to show you what I mean. So I'm going to look up an at Star Wars. Go over to images. Let's see what shows up. Actually, I really like the first one. It has a white background. That is perfect. You want it to have basically a white background because that means that the background's not going to show up. So I'm going to click on this image. Then I'm going to right click, hover my mouse over, right click, open image in new tab. So if I come up here, now I can right click again, save image as, and I'm saving it in that same file. So I'm just going to save it as add. Save. Done. I've saved that image. Because we have two artboards, I want you to create two pieces of stencil art. They can go together in the same, as you know, have it be the same theme. It can be completely different. That is totally up to you. And in fact, let's do something completely different. Poppies are my absolute favorite flower. So we're gonna search for poppies. I'm not getting, again, I'm getting stuff with backgrounds, and I really, really don't want that. So two ways that I search to find images that are isolated. I can either literally use the word isolated, which worked out pretty well, except, and this is tricky, guys, so be really, really careful. A lot of these have watermarks on them. You can see, like, these are images with these like little watermarks. That will show up in your stencil art, and that doesn't work. Like, that's not going to work for what we're doing. So like, don't click on something that says Shutterstock and try to use that, because the Shutterstock is literally, it's going to show up in your image, and it's not going to look good. So let's see if we can get, this one has a watermark here. Not worried about that, because that actually, we can get rid of it, and I'll show you how to do that. But when it is completely across the image, it's not going to work for you. So I've opened it up just like before. Right click, open image in new tab, right click again, save image as, and then I'm just going to change this to Poppy. Pings are great for this because it usually means that you have a transparent background. Because it is a white background, I am not worried about this being a JPEG. Normally I would be, but we're turning it into vector art, so I'm not bothered by it this time. So I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to go back into my Illustrator file. Now it's time for us to bring these images into our file. There are two ways to do that. One is to come up and go to File, go to Place, find the work that you want to place, click it, hit Place. And then you can see I have my little floating at. Click anywhere on the board and it will appear. Okay, this image is huge. So Command minus a couple times until I am zoomed out enough that I can resize this image. With my selection tool chosen, hold down the shift key, hold it down the whole time, and I can make the image smaller. Let go of the mouse, let go of the shift key. Now it's small enough to fit in my artboard. Command plus to get back in, and then I just sort of scroll up using my mouse. Now let's place our poppy. If I wanted to do it a different way, I can just actually go into my Finder, go into the folder that I'm keeping my file, and if I just highlight it with my mouse, pull it over, it'll just drop in. That's another way to do it. So whichever way you're most comfortable with, they both work. Okay, I have my two images in. Now let's turn this into stencil art. And this is super easy, guys. So make sure that I have selected the image that I want to transform. Go up to Object, Image Trace, Make and Expand. If this pops up, it's large, whatever, yes. Okay, we're good. It's fine. Boom. There you go. It is now a vector image and turned into pretty cool stencil art. That just by itself is I think really fun and really cool. Let's do the poppy. So again, select it, Object, image trace, make and expand. That one didn't work out quite the way I would have liked it to because it is very solid. So we'll play with it in a different way. Like we're gonna you know what? Let's work with both of these and see what we can do. If you click now on this new image, you can see over here you get your little question mark. And that is because inside this image you have two colors. You have the black, but you also have white. So I'm going to, with my mouse, double click. So now I'm inside this grouped, like this group vector. So when I click the black actually shows up. There's an easier way to do this. Like it's really easy for me to get in and work in this layer and get into the grouping. So let's just go back out completely. If I click on it again, you see like by clicking on it, I get the little question mark, and that's because I have things grouped together. I have white and black grouped together. So, you know, it's not just one color. If I come up to Object, I can hit Ungroup, and that should ungroup it. What I like to do is go back up to Object and make sure you can see if it doesn't say ungrouped or ungroup, then it's fully been separated. Sometimes you have to press it more than once. So press anywhere outside your artboard. Now you can change the black and you can change the white. So by clicking the black, anywhere in the black, I'm going to go up to Select, Same, Fill Color. So it has chosen every single thing that is that black color. You can see though, it has also chosen our poppy. So if I hold down the Shift key, take my mouse, click anywhere on that, it will deselect that. Done. Now with our black selected, and we did this last week where we changed all those colors, so you should be really familiar with this. Go over to your eyedropper tool and then choose like, I don't, you know, what do you think is going to work for you? I'm going to choose the gray. So I've chosen the gray to replace the black. Then coming back up to my selection tool, I want to click anywhere outside to deselect. Now I want to choose wherever I have the white. And now I have chosen this white color. I want to come back up to my select, same, fill color. Again, you can see that parts of this poppy have been chosen. If I hold down the Shift key and I press to deselect it, I had to press it a couple times. Now it's been deselected. So all the white now has been selected in here. So I'm going to hold, I'm going to go back over to the eyedropper tool. And I chose the yellow. And it's sort of like, again, like you have this like rectangle image. You can get in if you, like maybe I don't want all of it to be, I don't want it to be that rectangle. I went in, I double clicked, deleted that, and now I have sort of a little bit less of that. So this is where you can play around with it. Like go ahead and like get in there and like play around with like maybe where you want the color to show up and where you don't. It sort of depends. I also don't hate it being this rectangle. I can easily fill up the whole board. Like if I go ahead and choose my rectangle tool, I can draw a yellow box, come up to my selection tool, right click, arrange, send to back. So there you go. I may want to make this bigger. And if I want to make this bigger and I want all of my gray pieces to sort of go together, so to speak. Again, if I select that one color, I come up to select, same, fill color. So you can see now it selected that one. So I want to hold the shift key. I want to click on it because I want that to go away. Now all the gray inside this add at is selected. I can go up to object and group. Now if I click anywhere on it, all the gray is selected. And if I hold down the shift key, I can make this larger. I pull a bit, holding the shift key the whole time. And there you go. Pretty, I think it looks really cool. So now let's play with the poppy. Okay. Again, we have some white and we have some black. We have very little white in here, you guys. So really what I would do is I would come up to your object, like make sure you have selected this. Object, ungroup, object. We don't need to do it again, so it's done. So now I want to find that white because I just want to get rid of it. I just want to get rid of the white. I don't want the white at all. So I have selected it once. I come up to the select, same, fill color. It now has selected everything that is that white, and I'm just going to hit delete. And now it's gone. I don't have the white anymore because I just want to play with the poppy color. Now this is just, it's all just one shape. So again, like if I select it, hold down the shift key, I can make this whole shape bigger. And I want to pull it all the way. Maybe I even want it like to come off the board a little bit. Because by pulling it off this board here, when it prints or when you save it, that's going to bleed off. So let's do that. A little bit over here. Let's try making the background gray this time and this one yellow just to see what happens. I may not like it, but again, with it selected, I come over to my eyedropper tool. Oh, no, I wanted to do yellow, didn't I? Choose the yellow. Okay, now I need the background to be gray. So I just come over to my rectangle tool. Just now draw across the whole board. You can see it's still selected. So I come to my eyedropper, choose my gray, come up to my selection tool. It's selected. Right click anywhere on it, arrange, send to back. And now I have two pieces of stencil art that look very different from each other. These colors obviously work really well together because, you know, Pantone put a lot of thought into it. And now I want to save. I just hit save. Before I save anything to send for proof, I always make sure I save my working file. Make sure if you're working for a while in something to periodically hit save regardless, because you could end up losing work, the program can crash, there are just all sorts of things. Thankfully, Illustrator now does have a restore function, but let me tell you, when I first started working as a designer, they did not have that. And I was doing a project for Panera Bread, and I probably had put 4 hours into something. I had very stupidly not been saving as I went along, and my whole program crashed, and I lost all 4 hours of work. And then that was on me. Like, they didn't pay, they're not gonna pay me more money because I forgot to save and I had to work late into the night to fix it. So save as you go. Okay, so I have my working file now saved. Now how do I save this to send to somebody as a proof? So I go up to File, hit Save As, and here is where I would maybe add the word proof. I love to put dates on things. For the class, obviously you're turning it in however I told you to save it for the class, but I like to put dates on things because, again, multiple edits reminds me like what day I sent it, what version I sent off. So for this one, I would put proof and then again an underscore and then O2 dot 20 dot 21. So there's my date. If it is the second proof of the day, then I would add I would put an underscore in O2. So this is how I'm going to save it. I do not want to save it as an Illustrator file if I am sending it to other people. Again, nobody I work with, excluding the project manager who sometimes assists me in design work. Nobody I work with can open up an Illustrator file. So they can't look at these to provide feedback, provide edits. I have to send them PDFs. So I choose format, PDF. If it is more than one artboard, this is where I love the way this saves because it doesn't close my working file. So I don't just want to hit all, I want to hit range. I have 2 artboards. So I want to range 1 through 2. Sometimes it's 10 artboards. Sometimes, it is whatever. Like whatever it is that, it's only 1 artboard, it's not going to matter. You're not even going to have this option. So, but I want all my artboards saved, 1 through 2. I'm going to hit save. Then I get this pop-up window. The first thing I want to do is come up here to where it says Illustrator default, and I want to change that. And I want to change it to just press quality because that's good enough for anybody to open up. I'm not setting this to print yet. You can choose high quality print, but let's just press quality. I want to uncheck. This is very important because if I'm trying to save it so it's a much smaller file size-wise to email, again, this is not my working file. This is not the file I'm making changes to. I am not going to open this file in Illustrator ever. I do not need to edit it. And nobody else that I'm sending this to look at will be making edits. So uncheck preserve Illustrator editing capabilities, save PDF. I have my program set up to automatically open because I always want to make sure that it is opened up. And there's my PDF, and you can see it saved just fine. And this is ultimately what you will upload to me. I want you to have a working file, and I want you to have a PDF that you upload because it's a lot easier for me to see the PDFs. I can just see them online. And if you save it this way, your file format will be much smaller. It won't be that large. Whatever your working file is might be ginormous. I have huge, huge files that I'm working in all the time, but I never send those huge files off to anybody else. So that is how you save it. And that is pretty much, that's how you do the project this week, guys. So have a lot of fun finding your images. Again, remember, white backgrounds, isolated images, images that look like they are going to be able to be turned into some sort of stencil art. If you get it into the program and you do the image trace and it just looks horrible, find another image. That's okay. There's going to be some trial and error here, and just have fun with it.